discuss a range of topics that include addictions, religious abuse, and recovery. This live platform offers meaningful questions and answers, a counseling continuum, and valuable feedback from professionals and others who have been through the process and are healed, forgiven, and reconciled. If they can achieve this, so can you. This program can be heard on iHeart, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, and others. Make no mistake, this podcast sustains and implements three things: healing, forgiveness, and reconciliation within the Church of God. Thanks for listening.
Good day, friends. Good to see you again for the podcast, Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches. We discuss different topics on this podcast. It's a live platform, as you know, and we do elicit your questions. But tonight, a little bit different in that we're working internationally with the country of Nigeria. And so we want you to text in. You can do that, 1-866-538-3664. And also you can email me if you have questions for our guest at reeeechone@AOL.com. Again, if you have questions for our special guest, you can email me, reeeechone@AOL.com. Also, if you want to find out more about our guest, Sister Progress, she's in Nigeria there, Church of God, starting a new work there. You can connect with her through the email, and we will be glad to forward any information, any funding, if you want to find out more about that. Because we're glad to work with people on this podcast. You know, of course, Stella Kevin, a regular contributor, a mother of 7. She's a grandmother, has 2 sons that are pastors, and another son that's a minister, and another nephew that's a pastor. In fact, her dad was a pastor years ago in the Church of God also, too. I'm sorry, minister, not pastor, but a minister, Church of God. And so we're glad to have her part of this program. And of course, our director, Tennille McLeod, again, a mom. She homeschools, and she's in the Atlanta area. Sister Cabin's in the Ohio area. And of course, we like to acknowledge Ken Probst. You know, he passed some months ago, and it's a sore loss. He was a pilot in Alaska there, and was there for years, and his dad was a minister. In fact, his granddad had a Church of God on his farm years ago, so we just miss him so very, very much. Ken was saved 65 plus years and was a sincere person for the gospel of Christ. Friends, the views and opinions don't always agree with the staff people. Different opinions we have on different situations, but we want to reflect on those things to see if we can't reach some reconciliation and some forgiveness and some healing in the Church of God. So some discussions can be quite sensitive, so it would need your listener and viewer discretion. But again, friends, our main focus here is just one thing: to implement to you, to our listeners, to our viewers, 3 things: reconciliation, healing, and forgiveness in the Church of God. Those things: reconciliation, forgiveness, and healing within God's church. So we've capitalized on this podcast because, can you imagine, in the last 7 days, 30 million people are listening and viewing podcasts worldwide. 30 million in 1 week. Can you imagine? So we want to capitalize on that, spread the good news about forgiveness and healing. People need to be healed today. There's been many scars and wounds, and we want to see people healed. So we can be heard. This podcast can be heard on Amazon, Google, Poddash, Podchaser, Amazon Music, Pandora in Review, Apple Face, SoundCloud, Truth Social, YouTube, and of course, Alexa. So we're glad our director expanded those areas to us, and we're able to reach out, and we're glad about that. In fact, tonight we're reaching out to West Africa. She was here last session. She's from Nigeria, Sister Progress, and we're going to show some slides about what's going on there. and it's just an exciting to have her here. Now, if it's 1 o'clock here, it's 6 o'clock there. And so the time difference is quite different, but we're able to reach out to her. Good testimony about reconciliation, how it happened there. To progress these pictures, is this your building you're building up for the church?
We're having technical challenges at the moment, Pastor
Okay.
Moon. So we'll
She
give her a
sent some
moment to
pictures
come
in about the
Yes.
church and how they're trying to build it up. This, the cinder block we see in the beautiful country area there. My gracious. And they have the inside here. They're putting the floor together and working with the cinder blocks. And I'm sure it's probably warm at this time of year. But again, she's in West Africa, Nigeria, and it's, I mean, 200 million people. It's a major force there, Church of God, and they're starting a new work there, and she's ministering, and that is a blessing. We appreciate her being here, modest dress, and just refreshing to see her. And she was talking about,
Okay, I'm back.
all right, very good, very good.
Sorry, I was interrupted.
Okay. We did see the pictures. Are you all building a new church there with those pictures?
Yes, yes, that's a new church.
Okay. Is that near
Yes.
you, or is that in the area of the city or the state where you live?
No, yeah, that's the new area we want to establish.
Okay. Will you be
Yes.
heading that up or someone else?
Repeat?
Will you be pastoring that or someone else?
No, I'll be pastoring there. My father is pastoring there.
Okay. You know,
Yes.
Sister Perez, we were talking about last time about this idea of forgiveness. Why is it difficult for people to forgive sometime? What is the obstacles that goes against forgiveness?
Okay. You know, when it comes to forgiveness, a lot of people have their own mindset. And then sometimes it depends on the gravity of the offense anyone commits that will determine how the person will be able to forgive. But as long as we are children of God, we don't look at those things, because if we continue to look at the wrongs and some attitude of some people, it will not enable us to forgive and forget easily. And some people, they have a bitter heart. So at times it makes them it makes them not to forgive easily.
Sure.
But as children of God, I think we should forgive no matter what the person has done and no matter the gravity of that offense. We need to forgive for the sake of God. Because if we all continue to count the wrongs and whatever anyone has done against us, I don't think anyone will be able to forgive. But for the sake of God, I think we all should forgive each other, no matter the wrong. So in that aspect, forgiveness to some people is a very big deal. But because of God, I think we should forgive.
You know, I applaud the way your dad was able to bring those two factions together and get rid of the unforgiveness. And so communication, is that an important part of reconciliation?
Yes, communication is another importance of communication and forgiveness, because to keep on ignoring your brother or your sister, that wouldn't solve the problem. And then, like I said, some people, they have bitter hearts naturally. So, but I think that by continuous communication, sometimes the person might ignore you, but by continuous communication, I think the person will be able to consider, and it will soften the person's mind to be able to accept this person back. to their life again. So communication is a very vital role that should be played during forgiveness.
Sister Progress, when the people left the church, how long were they away from attending the services there?
Okay, for some people, for 3 months before they were able to come back. Like I said earlier, the two women that later came back, yes, the two women that later came back after the incident occurred, it took them up to 3 months before they could be able to consider.
Wow.
And then they came back because the message, the message they are hearing in the church they went to was nothing to write home about. So the message that is being preached in the Church of God has helped them a lot in their lives and in their families.
Yes.
So they
yes.
needed a real salvation and a real preaching where their souls will be saved. So after considering all these aspects, it stimulated them to come back to the Church of God after some months, while others who left were not able to come back. So it took them some months before they were able to come to their right senses and know that this is a church split, and sometimes it can be amended instead of causing more harm to the church by going out.
Wow. And friends, tonight again we're talking about situations that happen in other countries. In fact, we have a guest here from Nigeria.
Okay.
And how the problems are so similar here and there, but how her family was able to bring those folks back together and to reconcile and to forgive. She mentioned giving some of those grudges, and that's so very important. So, Mr. Progress, what are the steps to reconciliation? What is step number one to reconcile? What is step number one to reconcile?
Okay, there are so many steps when it comes to reconciliation. First of all, you have to know that you are doing this for God, for the sake of the love you have for God.
Right.
Because we mortals, the way we do things at times may not be pleasing to God. Like the Bible said, there are ways that seemeth good to man.
Right,
but the
right,
end
right.
So you might be walking in your own way, not knowing that that is not the way that pleases God. So when you remember that Christ has died for all of us, and also remember his suffering in the cross of Calvary, so that will motivate you enough to know that having misunderstanding with your brother or your sister does not worth it. And for the fact that we are children of God and we love God so much, we need to take that step. First of all, you approach the brother or the sister, you talk to him or her, you tell him or her reasons why we are not supposed to be in such situation, and you try to bring the person closer to know more about how God feels about being in disagreements with your fellow brother or your sister, that it doesn't want it. So by so doing, continuously approaching the brother, continuously approaching him or her, in that way, it will soften the person's heart. And another step you can take as well, you can call, if you have elders in the church, you talk to them, look at, I want to reconcile with my brother, I want to reconcile with my sister.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
sometimes if you go alone, the person might not be able to understand and accept. Therefore, if you take the first step by approaching the person and the person was unable to accept your apologies, I think you should go and call the elders of the church and or some family members. They can go with you to talk to that person. And another thing, before doing those things, you need to pray about it, because it is only God. It is only God that will intervene in such matter, because the heart of man is evil. Yes, the heart of man is evil. So you need to pray fervently before embarking on that journey, so that God will go and calm the person's mind to be able to understand whatever that will be done.
Sister Progress, we're going to take a break for a quick commercial. We'll be right back. And I want to ask you how long it took your dad to bring those guys back together again. But we'll be right back. Quick commercial. Don't move. Be right back.
Greetings. Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches is a weekly podcast reaching out to the disenfranchised, disconnected, or wounded. Remember, you are not forgotten. You went through a debilitating situation. As a result, we are reaching out to you in love with forgiveness, reconciliation, and healing. We also offer an exciting magazine called Arise. It's an excellent fit for class discussions or personal devotions. Arise can be purchased through our website or by calling 478-784-7600. This podcast was designed by Church of God for Church of God. Don't go away. Stay tuned for more exciting conversations. Thanks for listening.
Good to see you tonight again, friends, on the podcast Wounded Hearts, Wounded Churches. And we're talking to our friend, Sister Progress. She's from West Africa. We are streaming there this evening. The Nigeria area, 22 million people there in that area, a massive amount of people for the gospel. She's Church of God there. And of course, they're starting a new work there in her area. And we're talking about reconciliation and healing, and how there was a church split there, but her family's able to bring them back together again. Mr. Progress, how long did it take your dad to bring those folks back together? Was it one meeting? Was it two meetings? How long did it take to do that?
Okay. That was in about 4 to 5 meetings they had. Yes, the first meeting, everybody was busy exchanging words with one another. So it was difficult for that moment to bring everybody back together again. So the second meeting as well, he now went with the elders of the church. Okay. He now went with the elders of the church, who has known the real foundation of the church, and who has been in the church for many years. So when he went with them, they were able to start bringing them closer once again. So it took them about 5 meetings before they are able to come to their normal senses, and those who came in willingly and become devoted as they were at first.
Wow. So he worked with different groups at certain times, with the new converts or with those who've been around for a while. Is that what you're saying?
Repeat.
So he worked with the people who've been there for a long time, and then with others who've been there not been such a long time. Different groups he worked with at different times?
Yeah, they went different times. All of them didn't go out the same time.
Wow.
They went on their separate ways different times. So it takes steady visits to their houses. Yeah, it takes steady visits to their houses and personal prayers.
Wow.
Personal prayers on their behalf. Yes. So at last, God took control. And sometimes, because of that problem, we started having an intercessory night every night, interceding on their behalf so that God can move ahead and touch their hearts. So it takes steady visits before they were able to come back.
Well, I'm impressed with that. He was able to meet with the new converts, then with the older people, then with the pillars, and that's smart. That's good. That's good advice to those that are in splits or division. They can meet with the people in small groups and then with the larger group to work those things out. You mentioned love. Is love important in reconciliation?
Of course, love is very important in reconciliation because without having that love in you first, you won't have the courage to move for
Yes.
reconciliation.
It's true.
So
Yes.
you get to have love in you first. And also remember that it is through the love of God that we were able to be created. And it is the love that made Jesus Christ to die on the cross of Calvary for us.
Amen.
So since our Lord Jesus Christ was able to have such love on we humans, therefore, we also have that love in us to be able to associate with our brothers and our sisters. So having the love in us is very necessary and vital because that alone will stimulate your action to go for reconciliation.
And you also mentioned having a desire. Is that important to have a real desire to want to get back together and reconcile? Is that important?
Good question.
Yeah, of course, having desire to come back together again is also very necessary. You know, at times there is a
Sure.
relationship you have when misunderstanding comes in. You begin to feel lonely. You begin to feel left aside, having remembering your relationship with such brother or sister. So if we have that desire that, oh, really,
Yes,
this is
yes,
my brother, I
yes.
shouldn't be in this situation. So you have that desire in you that this is my brother, this is my sister. We need to reconcile at least for the sake of God, and so that our relationship will continue. So having that desire is also very important because that will lead for that reconciliation.
Mr. Progress, why do people walk in their own way sometime? Why does that occur that we walk in our own ways sometime?
Okay. There are so many reasons why people walk in their own way sometimes. You know, everybody has their own mindsets. There are
Sure.
things I find worthy to do, while there are things the other people find unworthy to do. But for one to walk in their own mindset, I don't really think it is a good part to play in our relationship. But for one to walk in their own mindset, I think that is carnality because a spirit-filled Christian shouldn't walk in their own ways. We
That's
should be
true.
able
Yeah.
to walk. We should be able to walk according to the Spirit of God's direction.
Amen.
It is only the Spirit of God who can be able to direct our paths and also ask God for wisdom.
Yes, 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 yes. Mr. Progress,
Or
in our
in
last,
you.
yes, that's true. Wisdom is important. That's true. That's true. In our last moments, any other information you want to give to us, especially about they can contact you through our email? I want to get your information. Maybe someone wants to send some funds. We need to get your information how to do that. You can email me. I can pass it on to those who want to do that. But from you, any last minute things we need to know about reconciliation, forgiveness, or healing?
Okay. I personally employ and beseech our brethren to make sure that we walk in faith.
Yes.
And also walk in harmony. Because two cannot work together except they agree, according to the word of God in Amos. So we all need to work together. When a brother offends you, having that bitter heart will not solve the problem. So I think you walk straight to the brother, make sure you inform him or her about the things which he has done that brought about the issue, and try to solve it amicably. Don't go about quarreling and making problems out of it. So I think working together is very good in this heavenly race. And we should also try to love one another, try to forget some certain things.
Yes.
Not everything a brother did or says will be captured. You don't have to capture it and use it against that brother.
It's true.
So we have to have the love of God in us. And
Sure.
also in everything we are doing in life, we need to ask God for wisdom.
Yes.
So that it can be able to direct us on what to say, what to do at any given time, what to say not to offend a brother or a sister, what to do to bring peace and harmony back to a church or to a family. So we need to be laborers in Christ together, and not those that will scatter or push the sheep of our Lord Jesus Christ away from the church or from a family. So that's the advice I'm giving to my people.
Very good. So friends, again, you saw the pictures from the work they're starting out there. If you want to support or contact Sister Progress, you can. We have her information here at Wounded Hearts, and we're just glad to have her here tonight. Also, friends, in my situation, I've had a lot of different positions in the church, in the congregation, outside the congregation. I've been appointed to some offices here and there, and started a few works. And I'm sure decisions that I've made have not been popular sometimes. So if decisions I've made, if I'm sure it has hurt some people, I apologize for that. Decisions are made many times and people do get hurt. And so I apologize and I am sorry for those decisions. But just putting that out to let you know, we do love you. And we want to do things better in the future to enhance unity and to enhance forgiveness and healing within God's church. Mr. Progress, thank you so much. We're going to be contacting you. To our director, thank you also too. To our listeners, thank you so much. Have a good day. May the Lord bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.